Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the third expert session that we have for this 100-day challenge. And we are lucky that we have Manjri Agarwal today. And It's been tough times, actually. A lot of people are indoors. They can't go outdoors and do the activities they want to do. It's better to be safe, and to stay indoors, but you can do a lot of activities indoors. So it's not that something that stops us from being going towards our goal of doing this 100 days challenge. And we hope that this 3 weeks that we have been doing it, and we'll continue it for the remaining 75, 76 odd days left. And we'll have a wonderful everybody will get into a habit of remaining fit. So let me introduce to you guys Sujata Mundra. She's family and a fitness, and she's going to moderate the show today. And she's a fitness, sports, and yoga enthusiast, an entrepreneur, mother of two, going to be a mother-in-law soon. Sujata firmly believes in leading a healthy and balanced life and inspiring others to do the same. Based in Chennai, she is an avid cyclist and swimming champion who follows a very disciplined exercise and sattvic diet regime based on the principles of naturopathy and Ayurveda. A state level tennis player in her youth, she grew up playing many sports and was athlete champion throughout her school and college years. Sujata is the founder member of Chennai's The Duchess Club, a 300 plus member women's club with the core purpose of learning, evolving, and sharing. Her unending quest for new skills and activities inspire her to learn Sanskrit and Gita during these pandemic times, and she is also imparting Hindi classes online. Sujata is also actively involved in many causes related to sufficient social upliftment, women empowerment, and children's education. Uh, you can visit her Instagram profile, Mundra Sujata, and you'll see a lot of her activities that keeps her busy and running. Over to you, Sujata, and let's carry this forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep, for such kind words. And thanks, Sangeet, for connecting me to this program of 100-Day Challenge. So, as Sandeep said, today we'll be talking about how Ayurveda affects us in our modern life. When we hear Ayurveda, we quickly associate Ayurveda with herbs like jadi booty, don't we? But isn't it's not true. Ayu does not mean life. Instead, it also means Sharirendriya Svatvatma Sanyogo. That means union of Sharira, the body, Indriya, the sense organs, Sattva, the mind, and Atma, the soul. And Veda means knowledge. So, in fact, the truth about Ayurveda is that it is governed by the fact of what we eat, how we live, in which environment we live, and the state of our mental health. Ayurveda tells us of the framework in which we can modify our lifestyle to optimize our bodily functions. So, Ayurveda teaches us how to age with dignity and grace, as Ayurveda emphasizes the role of mental health in maintaining physical health. Today, along with Manjri Agarwal, who's the guest speaker today, we'll share some simple ways and principles which you can add to your daily routine to help you feel fitter, healthier, and happier. We welcome you, Manjri Agarwal, to the show, organized by Sandeep Mal
Thank you so much.
for the 100-Day Challenge.
Thank you.
A small intro on Manjri. I just came to know her 2-3 days back, and then I have visited her Insta page and I've read about you. And you are really, really inspiring, Manjri.
I'm very humbled. Thank you so much. I think there are a lot more people over here who are inspiring to me, and I'm really humbled with your kind words. Thank you.
So, Manjri Agarwal, mother of two, is always looking for adventure. Be it in the kitchen or in the mountain, a health coach and a fitness enthusiast whose soul is a traveler. She has done her schooling from the Cathedral and John Connon School, Mumbai, and her BBA from Stern School of Business, New York University, major in accounting and international business. She is also the past chairperson of YFLO, Kolkata Chapter, and Senior Vice Chairperson of YFLO Kolkata. At present, she is also FICCI Ladies Organization Chairperson this year at Kolkata. Her Big Plate, Small Plate is a health and wellness page on Instagram and Facebook, which I think all of you should follow. Manjri Agarwal, the founder of Big Plate, Small Plate, is a certified health coach from IIN, which is Institute for Integrated Nutrition, food writer with 2 published books, columnist at the Telegraph newspaper, and now obsessed with the deep-rooted knowledge of Ayurveda. When she isn't cooking or writing, this adventurer can be found in the mountains, trekking and climbing towards her Everest. She has been passed on her passion for cooking to her boys, 13 years and 11 years of age, and both cook regularly and independently. She believes that cooking is a life skill, and why should only girls have all the fun in the kitchen? We welcome you, Manjiri.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to this interaction today.
Yes, and so I would like to ask you, Manjiri, through your journey, through your basically, we would like you to share your journey of how Ayurveda became a part of you, your transformations, and how difficult is it to practice Ayurveda in modern life.
Thank you.
And then we'll take the questions so on after as you go along with your journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So I have always been in the food field for the last 12 years, but in the last 5 years, I really felt that the space that I was in was not doing very much to my health. I was in the restaurant business, and every time I would open a restaurant, I would put on 5 kilos because it was a lot of the tasting and a lot of the trials for the menu, a lot of unhealthy food, and I realized that this was not the person I was feeling. I was not feeling good about myself because this was not me, and I was feeling very unhealthy as well. And I really took a break from that, and I decided to take this course as a health coach. And within this course of health coach, there is a module of Ayurveda. It's literally less than an hour or 1.5 hours of this class of Ayurveda, where they just touch upon Ayurveda and they tell you about the lifestyle of what Ayurveda is. And probably that 60 minutes really touched somewhere, because one, I was very proud that it was from my country, that it originated from where we all are born and the whole world is celebrating it, but we know so little about it, living in this space, and we have so many veggies and everyone accessible to us, so much information available to us, people are coming all over, and we don't know that much about it, and it is such an ancient practice, 5,000-year-old practice, and it hasn't changed. There's so much benefit to it. So when the lockdown started, I started cooking a lot of. I have been cooking a lot anyway for my page, and then it was a little bit more regular because we were on lockdown. And at that time, everyone, we want to eat healthy, we want to remain healthy, also look into our immune system. We wanted to stay healthy away from the virus. So I started incorporating a lot of the foods into, the gingers and the turmerics and into the food and a lot of the superfoods. And then I really started getting more and more deeply into Ayurveda. And I took a lot of courses. I've done around probably 80 to 100 hours of Ayurveda studying, and continue to read a lot more on Ayurveda. And I realized that it's not only about rishis and munis and jari buti, but there's so much more that we can instill in our daily life. And I started incorporating that. And I think without really saying much, just my actions and the results of my actions, I see my husband and my family also following it without me really telling them to do it. And that is what I find very important, that we ourselves are examples of living and doing Ayurveda, and that's where we want to be. Instead of telling people that we should do this and we should do that, and force people down, let us be an example of it. So I was very happy to see my husband, who is someone who is not so much into health and everything, really incorporating it. And for me, that is when I see my family sharing my passion and seeing what I'm doing, I think that is a reward in itself, I think.
Absolutely, because you've been able to transform somebody whom you love, who's so close to you, and that's a huge task actually. Especially transforming one's spouses is the biggest job.
Yeah. And then, of course, I started including a lot of Ayurvedic principles in my cooking. So a lot of my recipes have Ayurvedic principles. There's a lot of habits and practices that I've made, lifestyle changes that we will talk about later on. And I did a lot of talks. I've done a lot of talks, and I know that people have been touched by it. And for me, touching souls, making a difference in someone's life, transforming their health issues, that is what is important. And knowledge has to be shared. That's what I truly believe, that whatever knowledge we all have, including yourself, including Sandeep ji, we all have so much knowledge that we have been blessed with through our hard work and through other modes of teaching and through teachers. We must share it and spread the benefits of it. I think that's, I
Yeah,
think,
that's the best thing to do, and that's how it grows. The whole family of good health and good nutrition will grow.
yes, yes. And Ayurveda itself is called knowledge of life. Ayur meaning
Yes,
life,
right.
and Veda meaning knowledge. So it's basically the knowledge of life.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yes. So, how, being from such a different educational background,
yeah.
how did you start Big Plate, Small Plate, and has this been your passion always?
Sure. No, so yeah, very different background, and I started off in a finance and accounting field, and I started into food only after my son was born, my older one, because I didn't want to do a desk job, which was like sitting in an office. I wanted to follow my passion for food and writing, and that's how my entire space and field interest in food has risen. It's been now 14 years since 2007, 2008, I would say that I had really got into food. And Big Plate Small Plate has come about around 2 or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I would say. And it was something, again, that after my course was done, I really got into fitness, into being in the mountains, climbing, and having gained so much knowledge and so passionate about cooking and food, that I thought that, I really want to share this again with people. And a lot of people did approach me saying that, share your recipes, they're so good, and the food that they eat in the house or whenever they would come. So it's just things that I have created, and that I've just put out there, that my family and my loved ones and my friends have appreciated, and made it
I
happen.
know.
Yeah.
I've been going through your Instagram page, and all the fantastic recipes and the pictures that you put up are really inspiring to go there and make them.
Thank you. But I do make sure that the recipes are simple, they're not very complicated, ingredients are available. So I do try and simplify everything, that cooking is easy for everyone.
So,
So
where did you get your cooking skills from, and who are the people who influenced you to go ahead with this?
So it's not a typical answer that I always tell you that I got it from my mother or my grandmother. Actually, cooking is something, it was out of necessity. I got married, and I didn't know much about cooking before that. And I got married and we were living overseas. So when you're living overseas, you kind of have to figure it out. And I've had disasters in the kitchen before I have reached here. And it's something I completely self-taught, to be very honest. I have taught myself, done a lot of classes all over the world. Whenever I travel, I learn the cuisine of that country, and a lot of trial and error. There have been lots of burns, lots of cuts, and it's like with anything in life, it doesn't come so easy. You have to work hard for it. And I've had lots of guinea pigs also who've been, unfortunately, I had to. They have tried all my food, and they've been very grateful. But yes, my father is very fond of cooking, so there are lots of moments when I have cooked with him and enjoyed the passion of cooking from him and my aunt, who's my father's sister. I think that runs in that side of the family, the cooking genes, and maybe somewhere I've got that as well. So
So, are you imparting this knowledge of the Ayurveda and the Sattvic food to your children too?
So my children are very fond of cooking, especially in the lockdown. I cooked every day with them, and touch wood, my son, both my kids, very proudly, I can say that they can cook meals on their own. They're very young, they're boys, but even from lighting the gas to heating oil and chopping as well, and I mean they can do everything on their own, and that for me is again another feather in my cap, that I can teach the children how to do that and be independent. So when they feel hungry now, they go to the kitchen and prepare their own snack, because if the staff is resting in the afternoon, they don't go and wake them up or come and tell me. They prepare something that themselves. Could be
Fabulous. It's
easy
really
to,
fabulous. Yeah.
something very simple, but I am just proud that they're able to do that, and very comfortable in the kitchen. So that itself is a great moment for me. And yes, I do try and teach them about Ayurveda and eating healthy, and they are like, just mom, please, like this enough of your health. Like they are kind of like getting tired, but I do try and like small things. I keep telling them, but they get. I guess it's an age. It will come with
It
by
will come.
the
Yes.
awareness. will come because they've seen it. They've seen us doing it every day. So somewhere it's got embedded. They can't avoid it. It is embedded in them. So when
It'll
you
be always behind their mind.
absolutely, and then when they see it, it'll come back to them. So I am very sure that at some point they will come on this track. But right now they're young and they want to explore their own passion for food in their own way. So I let them. And I think that's what is important. That's something that has to come to you. When you're ready for it, it will come to you and you can follow it. I started it so late in my age. So I feel why force it at their young age?
Yes, absolutely. Even I started much later in life, maybe about 5, 6 years back,
Yeah,
thinking about the sattvic food and
yeah,
eating the right kind of food
yeah.
and avoiding the foods which you shouldn't be eating as per the
Yes,
science, actually.
yes.
How can foods actually alter moods?
Sure. So we all know there are certain things that are just not good for us. Things like junk food, things that have preservatives, packaged food, aerated drinks, things that have color in it. Um, all these foods, especially with high sugar as well, all these foods are actually, of course, they're toxic for us and they're full of chemicals. But at the same time, they come and sit in our body. Our body's not getting nutrition. So when it doesn't get nutrition, we start feeling very sluggish because the body's not getting energy. It's not getting fresh food. And sugar does give you that high that we like, but then that high from a sugar comes down so quickly that again you start craving for sugar, and that's why you keep going through that cycle, because sugar actually is a chemical that affects our brain, and it's actually a drug that is sometimes more addictive than any other drugs that are illegal, but sugar is legal, and so addictive and so harmful for us. So I am sugar free. I don't have sugar in any way, and you'll be surprised to know I don't keep sugar in the house. White sugar, brown sugar, like if anything is good for anything, and that also fresh good that we get in Calcutta. And if someone comes and asks me for coffee with sugar, I won't have sugar to give.
Yeah.
And I think because I don't have it, my kids don't ask for it. And I've started baking with gur now. I use agave, which is again a natural syrup. I use very little honey. Honey is only for medicinal purposes. I only use it when someone's got a cough or a sore throat. We don't use it for cooking as such, because I will talk about honey later on. And I don't use any sort of artificial sweeteners, nothing. And what's wonderful is my staff, my domestic staff, they're not educated, but they see again the lifestyle that we're leading. We're not having sugar, we don't have milk. So because we stopped having milk, only yogurt. So now they all have liquor tea without milk and sugar. And it is amazing when they come and tell me that I'm the milk, the monthly milk has come down. We don't buy sugar, and they're like, we are happy with this liquor tea without milk and sugar because you've been telling us so much that it's bad for us. So that is a lifestyle change that they have made, and it's gonna take them a long way. So I'm touching even those 4 or 5 people and making that difference. It's only again from actions. I'm not telling them to do it. I did not tell them to stop having it, just through actions and watching. So that also is a very good feeling. I don't get potatoes at home, so my poor lady, my helper, she's like, can I eat potatoes? This is not good for you and all. So now she's like, okay, fine, I won't eat potatoes because none of us eat potatoes. So
Because, as you said, this entire group of foodstuffs, the processed, the starchy, the sugary, all comes under Ayurveda as tamasic, right?
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so and they also so we all have something called gut flora, which is the healthy bacteria in our gut, and all these foods actually kill the bacteria. And if you don't have good bacteria, one, the food doesn't get digested. Two, it basically sends messages to the brain. So 90% of what we're feeling and how we are is in the gut. It's the second brain of our body. And that's why we always have this gut feeling. We always say that I have a gut feeling, because actually the gut has emotions because there's bacteria. So if you have good bacteria, your food gets digested, you're not feeling sluggish, you're feeling really good because all this energy is flowing in your body. And when you don't have any of that, when your gut bacteria is dead because of these foods, especially sugar completely kills good bacteria, and medication. So you're not feeling good about yourself because your food is also not getting digested. You're feeling sluggish, you're feeling heavy, and that affects your mood.
So that's why it's called sattva, which means contented.
Yes,
Eating fruits and veggies and whole grains and
yes,
especially seasonal things, right?
yes, yes, yes.
As nature gives it to you.
Absolutely, very important. And I feel medication is another thing. Of course, if you have diseases, a lot of self medication is done. But again, the reason I like Ayurveda and naturopathy is because we go and have, like, everything is in the kitchen. Every cure is in the kitchen. If we know how to use it, and if we follow it every day, it's not going to happen overnight. The changes that we make every single day is going to affect your health eventually. So I think, we take all these antibiotics. Antibiotics kill all your gut flora. That's why we feel so weak, because that's why we don't feel hungry, because the gut flora is all dead. It's gone. And that's why it's not recommended to take antibiotics. It's not recommended to constantly take painkillers. We're just not understanding that medication is not required if you just change your lifestyle a little bit. That's
Yeah.
all you need. Everything is in the kitchen. And the question here about ghee, and ghee,
Ghee.
it's like for me, it's like amrit or something, I would say. Like, it's like this elixir, like holy liquid, because it just has so much medicinal value. It has just so much goodness in it. It has good fat, which is very important for the functioning of our brain. It's medicinal. Anything you're feeling dry, so I put ghee on my skin also, so I feel it grows so much. You put the ghee in your hair, like I drowse myself in ghee. It's very good for our joints. It's very good to cook with it, because the fat, the smoking point is very high, so it doesn't get toxic. Other oils, sometimes if you heat them too much, they get toxic, and then you're having toxins in your food. Ghee is something that doesn't get toxic if it's like pure ghee that you can use. It's shadrasa in taste. It has all six tastes of Ayurveda, so it's extremely balanced. It has no pure ghee is purely cow ghee. That's what it is.
Pure ghee is cow ghee, yeah. And
So
which are the six tastes of Ayurveda, as you say, the six rasas of Ayurveda?
yeah, so the six tastes in Ayurveda is sweet, sweet, salty, and sour, and then there's astringent, pungent, and bitter. There's six tastes, and when we do anything in Ayurvedic cooking, there should be a balance of these six tastes, and we can actually see how we're feeling. So we all have a dosha, the teen doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and each of these doshas have a dominant taste and a taste that is a balancing taste. So if you have, so I'm a pitta personality, so for me my dominant tastes are sour, salty, and pungent. If I have too much of this, my pitta is completely out of balance, and my skin will break out, or I will have a lot of reaction to it, because my general dominating tastes are these. So I have to have sweet, I have to have astringent, and I have to have bitter to balance this out. So that's how it works with these three doshas. And having the foods that you do can balance of a lot of things. So if right now I could be feeling like vata, like I could be feeling very fuzzy, like, sometimes you get up little fuzzy, feeling little lost, not knowing what's happening. So that is your vata, that you're experiencing a vata, which is bitter, astringent, and pungent. So you have to have sweet, sour, salty to balance it out. So if you have a small laddu, or if you have a small date, or you have something that, or a fruit which is sour, so that will help you balance, and you actually feel better. And I have tried this with my kids, with myself. I have tried these, and it makes a big difference in the taste. So all the kids roaming around, can we please thank you.
Surely these food, if we mix it as per our body type, it really helps us.
Yes, yes, yes. So if you start following Ayurveda, then, and you know your dominant taste, and you have less of that, and balance, everything in balance is very important in Ayurveda. And knowing when to have what. Again, it's actually very simple. It's not that complicated. Ayurveda is not that difficult to follow on a daily basis.
What are there's a question, what about the simple ways to incorporate Ayurveda in for everyday living and food?
Okay. So one thing I would want to talk about is very important is fruits. Okay, we have. I think it's important to know when and how to have fruits, because fruits is the most perishable item that we eat. It gets digested extremely quickly, more than vegetables. Also, fruits get digested fast. They probably take 1 hour of digestion, and that's it. So it's very important that fruits is eaten on an empty stomach, not on a food, not after a food, not during. So it has to be eaten on an empty stomach. So first thing in the morning when we wake up, if have your hot water, and then have a fruit, because that's empty stomach. And the other time that you can have a fruit is at, say, around 4 or 5 o'clock, which is 3 hours after lunch, because by then your lunch is digested, and it's also, you're considered to be on an empty stomach, and then you can have fruit. Fruit should never be eaten after sunset, and that is because we all have something called Agni within us, which is your digestive fire. And that Agni follows the circadian rhythm of life, of the sun. So it starts, the metabolic rate starts in the morning when we wake up, and that's when the sun also rises. And then by lunchtime it is at its peak. So our metabolic fire, or our agni, is at its peak at lunchtime, and we can digest the maximum food at lunchtime. So generally that's why lunch is very, very heavy. It's okay to have whatever heavy food you want to have, anything you want to have, you should have it at lunchtime, because that's when your digestive fire is the most. And then again, post lunch, the sun is also going down, and so is the digestive fire. And by 7 o'clock, your digestive fire is out, and it cannot digest any food after that. So whatever you're eating after that is actually just sitting in your stomach and waiting for the fire to rekindle in the morning. So that's why sometimes we feel very heavy when we have a late meal. And the fruit is something that, because it gets digested so quickly, if there is food and you've eaten a fruit after that, your stomach and your intestines are busy digesting your food, which takes around 3 to 4 hours, and the fruit takes only 1 hour. So that has been digested, that has already decayed, because it's so perishable, and that's why we get acidity and bloating and all those issues that happen.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if we just simplify this, you'll see that it will really cure a lot of problems if anyone's facing bloating and acidity. And also, if you have like mixed fruits, shouldn't mix fruits. So mixed fruits which are from the same taste, same rasa, which is like have two sweet fruits together, or two sour fruits, but not one sour and one sweet. That is not recommended. And of course, the best thing is to have the same fruit in the same day. So if you're having mango, have mango that day. The next day have papaya. The next day have apple. um, and try and not mix that up. But if you have to, then just mix it from the same family. Same.
Yeah, because there are compatibility amongst the food, different food
The
groups.
body doesn't know how to digest it, because each taste and everything needs a different kind of digestion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what are the other things which we can incorporate into our life based on Ayurveda? Food is, of course, one of them.
Okay. And the use of ghee, it's very good, very important to have ghee in your everyday diet. Of course, not too much of it is going to have a high calorie content. And if you don't have much activity, then it's difficult to digest it and burn the calorie. But a little bit of ghee, like say 2 to 3 teaspoons in a day, is actually very good for you. And also to apply externally, even if you have dry skin, you have any sort of skin issues, ghee is very medicinal and very good for you. So even in your hair, you can even have you can have ghee like with turmeric. Sometimes people want to have ghee with turmeric in the morning. So turmeric is got a very good anti-inflammatory curcumin, but it is not water soluble; it's fat soluble. So you have to have it with some fat. So either that's why nowadays the trend is of coconut oil and turmeric, because you need some fat to carry it, and that's why in our Indian cooking, which our ancestors knew, they always roast the ghee, roast the turmeric, and roast the spices, because actually the benefit of the spices, the health benefits come out once it's roasted, once it's with fat. And that's why we always roast haldi before. We never put
That's
kacha.
an excellent point for everybody to take back. Yes.
Yeah. So
And what is an absolutely no, absolutely to avoid, like the refined foods, refined
packaged food,
drinks.
refined flour, refined oil, and refined sugar, and anything that's refined and packaged. I would say stop getting biscuits. Biscuits are just so high in calorie. Just they're high in calorie. They have no nutrition. They're packaged. They've got full of preservatives. They've got sugar. So that's a complete no-no for me. Anything packaged. I always There's one very easy way to bifurcate what you should eat. Is the food made in a plant, which is a factory, or is it from a plant? Is it grown on a plant? And that's the easiest way to remember. And that's what I tell the kids all the time, that identify food that is cooked in a kitchen and not in a plant, like not in a factory.
And what about the stimulants like tea and coffee? There's a question.
Ayurveda doesn't recommend to have tea and coffee. It's considered tamasic, and I think that having green tea and herbal teas is what is good for you. And there's lots of varieties of herbal teas and spice teas that you can have. And the problem with tea and coffee then is the milk and the sugar also. And you do get acidity if you have coffee on an empty stomach. It has been told, and the caffeine content of it definitely, gives you acidity also sometimes. So in all that sense, it's not recommended. Now you can't make so many lifestyle changes also all the time. Sorry, there's a full like army of people going behind me. Um, so you can't make so many lifestyle changes. I always say take one thing at a time. Per week, change one thing. Don't get overwhelmed and change so many things altogether. Ki, I have to remove
It
the
doesn't
biscuit.
work.
I have
Yeah,
to stop eating sugar also. I have to change my oil also when it's too much and very overwhelming. So change one thing at a time, and eventually, slowly over time, it will make a lifestyle change. Like I was someone who used to have 3 cups of coffee, and I have stopped having coffee. I used to have to. Then I started having 2 cups of tea, black tea, and with milk and sugar, and I completely stopped. First I stopped sugar, then I stopped with milk, and now I've stopped liquor tea, and I only have green teas and mint teas and your ginger teas, and that's what we have like in a day. Is there a limit to how many green teas that we can have? Um, Green tea is probably 2 cups because that also has caffeine. But then you can also have a lot of like cinnamon tea and ginger tea and mint teas and fennel tea with jeera and ajwain. That's very good for bloating, and it's a digestive tea which is post a meal. It is excellent to have. You can have which coriander seeds, fennel seeds, cumin seeds, and ajwain seeds, carom seeds. If you put all, like, just take half a teaspoon of each and just boil them in water, you will make an excellent digestive tea, and you can have that post your meals. So start including all of this inside your in your foods, and then that will become your everyday choice. Now even if I go for a coffee with someone, is I opt for a and if nothing else, have hot water with lemon juice in it. so
absolutely.
there again, lifestyle choices that we make, and takes time to finally get into the habit of it. It takes a lot of time.
So actually, all these kind of food groups basically help you to keep your body a little more alkaline than make it acidic.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. You've said the
So,
right word. Alkaline is what we need to bring the pH levels and to make sure that we don't suffer. But at the same time, you need a little bit of acidity also to kill bad bacteria, to kill any virus that comes. So it is a balance. A highly acidic body will actually help the growth of a virus, because virus and bacteria, they thrive on acidic bodies. So you have to keep them alkaline also. So there has to be a little balance. You can't be completely alkaline. Your body needs a little bit of acidity as well. But we get that from the foods, from the sour foods that we're eating, from the lemon juice. You get that from your daily food. But if you're eating fresh food, if you're going to eat packaged
yes.
food all the time, then you're not getting any of it.
So that's why the pH level has to be at 7, they say, so
Yes,
that it's maintained the acidity level as acidic level as well as the alkaline level of the body.
yes,
Then you don't catch diseases also. Your body has got a good immunity to fight against the diseases.
yes.
So what's your take on some of the Ayurvedic tips for building up your immunity to fight the present COVID?
Sure, sure. So I feel general detox is very important on a daily basis, and that will help you build your immunity also. Detoxification, and there are a couple of things that is very good. One is oil pulling in the morning with coconut oil or sesame oil. Generally, coconut oil is what will go with every dosha. You just take extra virgin, cold press extra virgin olive oil, 1 tablespoon of it, and you just swish it in your mouth before you brush your teeth, and it's all this bacteria that has developed in your mouth. It's basically collecting it, and then you spit it out. And you have to swish it for at least, you start off with say 5 minutes and then you go on to say 15 minutes. But that swishing is such a great detox, and it's also very good for your facial muscles. So that keeps you very young, and it keeps you very these muscles is something that we don't land up activating and using except when we're smiling or laughing. And so and a coconut oil is also very very good fat. So of course a lot of it that we land up using for oil pulling stays with us, and it goes to our brain, and it helps in the functioning of the brain as well, because your brain needs good fat. So coconut oil is excellent for that. You're removing basically any bad bacteria that is there. Then is it other detoxification is you're using a tongue cleaner to remove toxins from your tongue, which also get collected overnight. And we always have a white coating, so to clear that will again help prevent diseases from getting caught, and you're eliminating bacteria and viruses. Then then have your a glass of hot water with lemon juice, which is very very important for immunity, because you're getting your vitamin C from it. You're also helping kickstarting your metabolic rate, metabolism in the morning, which is helping in your cleansing. Otherwise, if you don't cleanse properly, then that also breeds a lot of disease. And also hot water is very good for your stomach and for your bowel movements and and everything. So having a glass of hot water with lemon juice is excellent because of the vitamin C in it as well. And then you have a tea, like a herbal tea. So you can put like cinnamon in it, you can put ginger in it, you can put cumin seeds in it, you can put mint leaves, anything, like all of these herbs, you just boil them and make a tea out of it. It is so good for you. You can put a little bit of turmeric if you like, and tulsi. So just have this tea maybe once a day and you will feel really good. It's like a kadha that we have anyway, our grandmother used to give us. So this is very good for immunity. And then include turmeric in all your foods. Have fresh wholesome food. I think that is the best thing. Avoid sugar, avoid packaged food. Just eat what your grandparents told you to eat, and you will be healthy and you will be fit and you will be able to fight this virus if you just have wholesome food. And every day ghar ka khana.
Fresh food, not overnight kept food.
Absolutely, that is also not considered good. Steel food is supposed to have no life, and when we eat food we're supposed to take in prana, so it's taking in life. So that is also important. In Ayurveda, they don't
Very
really.
important for the youngsters today because they love keeping away the leftover into the fridge and eat it after 2 days, 3 days. So
Yeah, yeah. Very true, very true. So we have to avoid that. So I think it's not calling Scootsie and Zomato too much for delivery.
true, true. So, so actually, when people bless you saying Dirgha Ayushi Bhava means let you be in union with all the above factors for a long time.
Wow.
Of, of course, your mind, your soul, your body, everything in coherent qualities together, I feel.
Wow.
So, what about the demonstration which you're going to do today?
Yes, yes. So I've been thinking a lot about what to do. And I'm actually in Dubai right now. And so over here, I love the Middle Eastern flavors. And what I find fascinating is when I use ingredients which are not Indian, maybe, or from the rest of the world, or even just Western food. That Ayurveda food doesn't have to be like Indian dal, chawal, sabzi. It's not that. It's using the principles of Ayurveda into your food. The other thing that I did mention, I forgot to mention, is about fruits, is not to cook with fruit. So this whole idea of having fruits with dairy is actually a very bad combination. Fruits and cheese is actually a good bad combination. Smoothies, when we have smoothies, or we mix vegetable and fruit juices, that is a very bad combination. Again, have only vegetable juice or only fruit juices. Don't mix the two, because again they both have very different temperaments for digestion. The We started cooking a lot, like making a lot of salads, like mango salads or pomegranate salads, or salads with a lot of food, again fruit. And that is also again very bad for consumption, because again the fruit gets consumed very quickly. And I see that difference because I have stopped doing that. And the moment I will eat it, because I've gone to someone's house, I do feel the difference in my body. And that is what is amazing to know, that now I'm so aware of the food that is working for me and not working for me after so many months and a year of like being into it. So I wanted to make something that's simple with ingredients that's available everywhere, India as well. And this is something that I've come up with, which is also shadrasa in taste. And I am going to try and see how we will do this so that we can.
So, as you were mentioning about the fruit not being in, not combining it with grains or with veggies,
Yes.
we have a lot in, especially during this mango season. Everybody has amras with their food,
Yes.
which is absolutely wrong, actually. But then it's something which people have been practicing it for so long, or they cut a mango immediately after their meal and they have it, which is actually so wrong to do.
So amras is one of the very few fruits that you can have with dairy. Mango and avocado and nuts and seeds is something that you can have easily with dairy. So you can have a mango milk or a mango sandesh. That is fine. That is no problem for a digestive system. But having mango after your meal or along with your meal, like an amras, is what is the problem. So have the amras like an hour before you want to have your meal. Have it after 3 hours of after eating a meal, but not together. That is something that it just doesn't go with the principles of Ayurveda. And I don't think ancestrally we did it. Something that we've developed very recently. So I always feel, whatever your grandparents and your grandparents did, their lifestyle, if you see, they're so strong. Their bones are so strong. They live long lives. Their skin, their hair, it's amazing. Like, and I think it's because of the lifestyle and the eating habits that they had, and it happened very organically for them. They didn't study Ayurveda and they didn't study all these courses that we're doing and glamorized it. It was just a way of life. And another generation and is completely like messed it and not followed it and not even passed it down, unfortunately. So I almost feel like it's, as a generation, if we don't revive this and we don't spread the knowledge of it even to the next generation, it will die. And it's with any.
Absolutely right. Absolutely well said. Yes.
So I always love to sit with my grandparents and ask them, what do they do? What do they eat? Why do they eat like this? Like they also won't have answers, but now it's making sense to me. A lot of the connections are making sense to me. Like they're so particular about the timing of their meals. If you realize your dadis and your dadas, they have to eat their lunch at a certain time. They have to have a dinner. It's because your body knows when to eat food. Then otherwise, it's not able to produce the juices to digest the food, and then it's producing it, and if there's no food, then that becomes toxic again, and again we get bloating, and again we get acidity. So that's why
Absolutely
it's important to eat meals at the same time every day.
true.
And we start feeling hungry right at the same time, like food
Exactly.
4 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Like for me at 7 o'clock is like if I don't get food, then for me I need food at 7. My body is usually eating lunch dinner at 7 o'clock.
As you're mentioning this, I can say when you have pups at home, you can make out that if their dinner is supposed to be served at 7, they are just gazing at the kitchen door.
Yeah. And then you know at 7 o'clock if they're coming.
Yeah, you know it.
The body works so well, and babies are as natural as that. Their bodies will also ask for food at the same time without watching a clock, and it's amazing.
There are some questions on Zoom, like mineral water or RO water or natural Himalaya water.
So it depends where you are and what is your facility for water. Of course, there are a lot of places where the water is very hard or there's high iron content, which is not good for us, and then people have to opt for mineral water. RO water is also fine. Of course, there's a backlash of that water. Like there's a lot of water that's wasted when the RO water is being the osmosis process. So if you can do something with that wastage of that water, like we have an RO machine, and we use that for gardening. So if there's something can be done, and of course it's more sustainable. But having said that, it's also important to have the water of the place that you're living in for your body to digest it. If you're going to have mineral water, then your body is not going to acclimatize to the place that you are in. And if you realize that whenever we travel, again ancestrally, like traditionally, when people used to go by train or they used to
Carry water.
carry water wherever they went, every village they would change their water and have the water from there. It's
Fresh
because
water.
getting used to it, and this is the same thing we do when we go on trekking to the mountains. We don't carry bottled water. We keep filtering the water of that place. That also helps in acclimatization of our body and to adjust the oxygen levels, because the water also helps you adjust to the chemicals and changes in your body. So as much as possible, try and have the water of the city that you are in locally. Boil it, filter it, and have that local water. It's also
There's
sustainable.
another question. How about combining fruits with nuts and dry fruits?
Uh, so fruits with nuts and dry fruits is still okay. But in what sense? Like, what would you do with it? Like, what would you
That's
mix?
a question, probably, I think, maybe to make smoothies or something.
But then with smoothies, then you can't do yogurt. Then you can have coconut milk.
You can just have a banana with a date or something.
Yeah, banana with date is fine. Date is like a dry fruit only. Like it's not a nut or a seed. So it's like a dry fruit.
Somebody's asking after ghee, what's the second best medium for cooking?
After ghee. So for Indian food, the best mediums are ghee, coconut oil, and mustard oil, because both these oils have very high smoking point, and we can get them locally. So again, you get very good quality, extra virgin, so that there's no chemicals. It's not a refined oil. Make sure it's unrefined, and they don't get toxic if you heat it too much. Because for all the Indian cooking that we need to do, the smoking point has to be very high. We like to heat our oil, to cook. So
Yeah.
these are the other two oils that are recommended. There's also some more other oils like your groundnut oil, but you can't. The smoking point is not as high. And there's avocado oil, which your smoking point is very high, but these are a little more expensive. So
Yes. Somebody mentions virgin olive oil today most popular. Should we use or not?
So extra virgin olive oil is supposed to have had raw, and you're supposed to have it, in salads, which I'm going to be using today. And then you can get olive oil or virgin olive oil, which can be heated for like West, not even in Indian cooking, but it can't be heated too much. So you can't let it smoke. So you have to realize that it has to be warm, and you can probably saute it, but you can't saute onions the way like we like to saute it in our Indian food. You can just about saute it till it becomes translucent. You can't heat it too much. It has to be on a low flame.
There's another question. Throw some light on salt. Also, any tips for incorporating Ayurveda in life for runners?
Yeah. Salt is like another subject altogether.
Altogether.
A lot of time. But quickly, I'll tell you that change your salts. The normal white table salt is actually very bad for us. And if even if you have to use it like cook it. Don't use raw salt. Raw salt, white salt as raw salt, is very very bad. It has very high sodium, which will take your blood pressure up. If you have to use, in your salt shakers, try and put in a Himalayan rock salt. Try and put in a sea salt. Try and put in your rock salts that we get. Like you have seen that among that is very good. So these are much better salts to have. I have different shakers with different kind of salts, and I keep changing them every day. So that you're using different salts. Um, the normal plain white Tata salt is not necessarily. I don't mean the Tata, but any plain white
Any iodized salt.
salt is actually very high in sodium and it's completely refined again. So when we're using sea salts, we're actually getting the minerals from the sea without realizing. And this is also very good. It's in the macrobiotic diet. It's very good for our gut as well. And the sodium content is lower. Same thing with rock salt. And Himalayan pink salt is very, very good for you.
It's available very easily in any city, in any store. So Himalayan rock salt is what everybody should be using.
Himalayan rock salt. This time I went to Nepal to the Himalayas for trekking and I got so much salt and I was so excited that I got like this organic salt that's like available everywhere.
Actually, in the olden days, people only used the rock salt, which was called the Sendha Namak, which they use for the fasting every time, even today. So that's the salt we should be all having, I think. So. There's another question on YouTube which Sangeeta has posted. How to identify what body type are you? This is a huge, long, again, I don't know how would you like to say it in a few words.
Then if you go online and you put in an quiz, like just say dosha test or dosha quiz, you get loads of quizzes which are very good. Lots of websites which will help you. Just take a quiz and they'll tell you what dosha it's actually you don't even need to go to a veggie sometimes because there's certain food habits and certain characteristics about each dosha which is very easy to identify if you just quizzes. And then you'll understand what is your dominant dosha, what is your minor dosha. Everyone has kind of sometimes two doshas. So,
yes. And somebody had said, I think on YouTube, Sangeet had posted that since you said dairy should not be used, like dairy in the sense milk is what you avoid, but you have curd, you have yogurt, and you also have ghee. Is there any particular reason why you avoid milk?
When you're making ghee, the lactose content of it is gone. So it's considered an animal product, but it is not got lactose. It doesn't have the dairy content in it. So that is fine then. With yogurt, why I feel it's okay because of the probiotic content in it.
Probiotics, yes.
Indians, we don't have that many other forms of probiotics. Of course, we have pickles, but then that is very high in sodium and oil. So that again is something you have to be mindful of. So to get probiotics every day, yogurt is a very good way of getting probiotics into our daily diet. And also right now in the summer is very good for cooling. You also started getting a lot of coconut yogurt, which is also very good, full of probiotics, is dairy free. So someone is lactose intolerant can have coconut yogurt, and I personally love coconut yogurt.
Coconut yogurt, cashew yogurt, peanut yogurt.
Yeah, yes. And then you get lots of different milks also. You get oat milks and almond milks and cashew milk.
Absolutely.
That you get. So, so milk is something I completely avoid because I feel it's adulterated. You're having a lot of hormones, you're having a lot of medicine, and especially in India. So if you can get pure milk, then it's okay. But if you can avoid it, I feel dairy is something which is very difficult for our body to digest.
To digest, yeah. There was a question. I love cheese. Can you throw some light on that? I think they can make cashew cheese.
You can make nut cheeses, and you can always have cheese. Just limit the quantities. I feel never say no to everything.
Yeah.
Let your body decide on its own. Once it detox itself from cheese, then maybe you will not even crave cheese later on. So automatically it'll happen. Don't completely stop. It's very difficult to stop cheese or something like that, like completely. But yes,
and alternative sources of protein, because some of them think that milk is necessary as a protein for vegetarians.
Oh, no, there's
alternate sources for protein.
protein and even calcium, because even a lot of people think that you have to have milk for calcium, but the green leafy vegetables that we have a lot of calcium in it. Kale, spinach, sesame seeds has more calcium in it than milk does. A lot of our nuts also have a lot of calcium in it. Honestly, it's a myth that we have to have milk to get calcium. And for protein, there are lots of other. There's dal. All your dals, pulses, they're very high in protein. Also, your seeds, your chia seeds is superbly high in protein. Almonds is very high again.
Rajma, chana.
All your pulses, all your pulses, your beef. And then you can have um, and then you can have like the chena ka pani. That's very high in protein. The way that we say
The whey water, yeah.
they make whey protein out of it. Then they make protein shakes out of that whey. But I just have the normal whey with salt and nimbu, and it's a great post workout drink also. And it's just simple things like that that you can have. You don't necessarily have to have milk.
Yes. The last question we'll take up. Should milk be avoided for children as well?
I don't want to, as professionals in this field, we never completely tell people don't do this and don't do that, because then you have to make sure that there's a balance of it, that the nutrition is balanced somewhere else. That make sure that the child is getting the calcium then, and make sure the child is getting the nutrition that you were thinking you were giving from milk.
To supplement it. You have to supplement it with the right food.
Like supplement, like medication supplement, but
not medication, natural.
Yeah, natural. It's a natural supplementation. And if you're getting pure milk, like literally, if you have a cow and you're getting pure milk, then of course that's very good. But nowadays we don't even get that. And also there's lots of talks about animal products, and Ayurveda doesn't. Ayurveda is not too keen on dairy. It doesn't promote dairy, the Ayurvedic lifestyle. So that is also something. If you're talking about Ayurveda, then dairy is not recommended.
Thanks a lot, Manjri. I think now you can go ahead with your demo, and then you'll have questions on that.
Thank you for all those wonderful questions and for moderating. And I think we're running out of time as well, so I'm going to make this really quick. And today we're going to make something called cabbage slaw. So it's my take on the coleslaw, but I'm doing it in a Lebanese way, with a Lebanese twist. I'm to incorporate all the 6 flavors of Ayurveda. So I have got just normal cabbage. You can see, right, clearly.
Yes, we can see it. Yeah.
This is normal green cabbage shredded, and because it's a water vegetable, the water content is very, very high in this. So I'm just going to reduce it. So I've taken. So I'm going to. So it's very crunchy, especially in the summer, because of the water content. You feel more moisturized. Your body gets hydrated. So it's very good to have in the summer. And I'm just, because it's raw and I don't want it to taste so raw, I'm just adding the juice of 1 lime in it. So basically the acidity of the lemon cooks it a little bit. So it removes the rawness of the cabbage. And this form of cooking is done a lot in the summer, especially because if suppose you don't want to eat raw food, cooked food, because it's too hot, and the raw food also you want to preserve it for a little longer because it gets spoiled quickly. They cook it with this lemon juice method. It also in lots of countries they use this method, especially with like raw fish and all. They have, you get in Brazil, in Chile, Japanese food also has this method of cooking where they cook the food with just the acidity of the lemon juice. So that's what I've done for this also. So I'm just going to let it rest, and then you'll realize that it shrunk a little bit also, and that rawness will go away. So I'm just keeping this aside while I make the dressing for the salad. So I'm just using extra virgin olive oil, and good quality olive oil can literally change the taste of anything. Like, it's amazing. The flavors of olive oil, especially when you're using raw, it can make or break a dish. So the choice of ingredients is very important, and the quality of ingredients that we use is very important. So I've taken around 2 tablespoons of olive oil in this extra virgin, and then I'm going to put like 3/4 teaspoon of crushed garlic. Now, I didn't talk about cabbage. Cabbage is astringent in nature. Astringent is like asafoetida, which removes the moisture from your tongue, but it moisturizes you inside. Like, so cabbage has an astringent taste. Garlic, of course, is pungent, and I'm also using spring onion, which is also pungent. And then I'm using all oils are basically more or less they are like sagarasa, like oils and ghee, like they don't have such strong taste. Then of course there's salt, and then there's a lot of herbs, which is like parsley, mint, and dill. So parsley is in the sweet herb. If you taste it, it's like a little sweetish, and then dill is in the bitter herbs. So that takes care of bitter. And also I'm using zatar, which is a very popular Middle Eastern spice. It's made from dried thyme and sesame seeds. So both these are in the bitter foods category, and dill is in the dill was in the bitter also. Sorry, so the dill was also in the bitter category, and parsley is in the sweet category. Parsley and mint. So if you see, I balance out the flavors of all. So I've got all 6 flavors, which is very good. When you have something that is all 6 flavors, it helps in the digestion of the food. So I'm just mixing the garlic, and I have omitted any sort of sugar. So any honey I have omitted any sugar. I personally don't like to add sugar, anything sweet. What you could have added in this is dates. If you like it a little bit more sweet and you want to make it sweet, you can soak dates and just chop it and add to it if you like. But since I have stopped eating sugar, a lot of my tastes for sugar have also gone. So I'm adding a little bit of dill to this dressing. I'm adding chopped parsley leaves and chopped mint leaves. And I'm also adding salt.
So you have all the 6 tastes: the sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent.
Yeah. And I'm
Cabbage itself is packed with nutrients, right?
The interesting thing about cabbage, it's got very little credit, but it's actually a very important vegetable to have, and full of.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah.
Cabbage has got a lot of nutrition. It's actually a superfood, and we give it a lot of very little. We call it patta gobi, and we think that it's like it's full of nutrition. And the most unique aspect about cabbage is that it's actually removes small plastic from our body. So we don't realize we end up eating a lot of micro pieces of plastic, because everything is packaged in plastic. We're having it from a straw, whatever. Like so much plastic all around that we'll end up ingesting a lot of plastic. So when you eat cabbage is one of those very unique ingredients of vegetables that separates the plastic, and it helps in the detoxification of plastic from our system. So it's actually, and it's very filling. It's full of moisture, like I said. So it's great for the summers. It hydrates us. So it's very good to have, and it's very versatile in cooking. So I love cooking with cabbage, and the green cabbage and the purple cabbage. And it's a little neutral in flavor, so it absorbs the flavor whatever you put in it.
Yes. Actually, cabbage helps in inflammation. It keeps in check. It has a lot of vitamin C. It improves digestion.
The fiber content is so high that it's very good for anyone suffering from diabetes also.
Keeps the heart healthy. It lowers the blood pressure, lowers cholesterol. And it is one of the vegetarian sources for a complete, excellent source of vitamin K. Yes. So I think it's a real superfood, which a lot of people are not aware of, I think.
And also herbs. Herbs is also very good for detoxification. It's actually like it removes odor, it removes anything toxic, it removes anything bad. It almost works like a deodorant for our stomach, like how we would do it.
Yes.
So I'm just mixing this like a herb salsa that I have made with olive oil and garlic. And I'm just giving this a good mix. And then I'm going to use zatar. Zatar is, there are plenty of ways to use zatar. And what I'm liking here that I get fresh zatar over here also. Though I haven't used the fresh zatar for this recipe, but it's an amazing leaf again, very distinct, and has a very strong character. So, and then I'm going to use the zatar powder to make this salad. And just look how green and beautiful it's looking.
Yeah. Looks so fresh.
Looks so fresh and wonderful. And so easy. Just
And
as
look crunchy also.
and just as an accompaniment to your meal, and it's so easy. And then the spring onions, and
Spring onion.
let's put all of it. This is like my summer bean salad.
Cooking cabbage also helps to release a substance called indole, an organic compound that can fight off precancerous cells.
Okay. Okay. And now I'm putting the za'atar. Wow. I'm loving it. I can't wait to dig into it.
I wish we could all taste it, but we're far away.
I know this is the problem with virtuals. Every time I do a cooking demo, they're like, "Oh my god, we can't taste it, we can't smell it." I hope technology now comes up with somewhere where at least you can get the aroma of the food.
We can imagine visually.
Yeah. So here you go. This was very easy. I wanted to do something simple, and it's all done. Yeah, and I hope everyone makes it. It's great as a side dish as well, and great along with your meal. So
Thank you so much, Manjri. It was such a fantastic session. So much of inspiration from you. And I'm sure all the people who've joined the 100-day challenge, as well as the guests who've joined on YouTube, have all enjoyed the session. And there are a lot of questions which we could not answer, which were there on YouTube because of constraint of time. And I'm sure you can either DM directly to Manjari on her Instagram and she can easily reply back to all your answers.
thank you so much to
Thank you.
and I wish everyone the very best for this challenge. And life is full of challenges, and when life gets tough, the tough get going, and you can only achieve something when you really let it go. Then you realize the value of it, or the not so good value of it also. So you'll see differences in your life, and I hope that this transformation stays. So don't let it go to waste. All the hard work that you're putting, stick to it, and make sure that it's done. And you have some amazing events coming up and some great lineup of speakers and people that Sandeepji is tied up with. So I really wish everyone the very best. And thank you for having me today. It's really been a humbling experience, and I love, like I said, I love sharing the knowledge. Whatever I have been blessed with, I love to share it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity again. Really.
Thank you. I would just like to say, Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. May all of you be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manjiri. Thank you, Sujata ji. And Manjiri, if we can have the recipe, we'll put it on the show notes on the website.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, if you can send it across, then we'll put it across on the show notes. Thanks everyone for coming here. And I think, I mean, the most encouraging thing I was telling Minu is watching with me is that, a home without sugar, how can we do that? I mean, it's so impossible in our home. It's, how can you have a home without sugar? But that's something should be a goal or aim that, to have. And now one thing that you have killed is this summer without amras and, and with lunch. so no more amras with lunch.
उसके पहले लंच के पहले और लंच के बाद
लंच के पहले या लंच के बाद में.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone. And next week we'll be talking money with Preeti. And thanks for and keep on going and stay safe. And COVID is really, really bad this time with the second wave. So be masked up and stay indoors. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your mask
धन्यवाद.
and get vaccinated.